you're a handout little.
I'm
took
rich.
the GVP
so
loan.
That's why
You
look
took
at that.
the Obama phone.
Look
Hey,
at
you
that
still
cheap
got your
suit.
Obama phone?
Look at that cheap
You
suit.
still got your Obama
I
phone?
never had an Obama phone.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
lying
tell
ass
me.
piece of shit. You're a lying ass.
Not many rivalries begin as great friendship, and if they do, chances are they still won't be able to hold a candle to the story of Jorge Masvidal and Colby Covington. In the realm of mixed martial arts, alliances are often forged in the crucible of training camps and shared experiences. One such bond was formed between Colby Covington and Jorge Masvidal, two rising stars in the welterweight division who once shared a deep friendship that transcended the octagon. Little did they know, however, that their famous friendship would eventually deteriorate, becoming one of the ugliest feuds of its era. Their relationship began to take shape on the mats in American Top Team, one of the premier MMA training facilities in the United States, and through that, the world. The young Covington, who was fresh out of college and looking to make a name for himself in MMA, was brought in as a wrestling coach under team leader Dan Lambert, but it quickly became clear that Colby had all the makings of a great MMA fighter, and so, training closely with the experienced and highly regarded Jorge Masvidal was a no-brainer. Their shared passion for the sport and unwavering commitment to excellence laid the foundation for a friendship that would last for several years. As training partners, Covington and Masvidal brought out the best in each other. They exchanged knowledge, techniques, and strategies, sharpening their skills with every sparring session. In the unforgiving environment of the gym, they pushed each other beyond their limits, fostering an unbreakable bond built on trust and mutual respect. Iron sharpens iron, as the old saying goes. But their friendship extended far beyond the confines of ATT. When Covington found himself facing financial troubles, it was Masvidal who stepped up, offering him a place to stay. He was a mentor to the younger fighter, yes, but moments like this proved that things were a little closer. Jorge opened his doors, providing a roof over Colby's head during a time of need. This act of kindness further solidified their connection. Cornering each other during fights became a regular occurrence, whether it was Covington stepping into Masvidal's corner or Masvidal providing guidance and support to Covington. They showcased a level of camaraderie that transcended the competitive nature of the sport. In those moments, they shared a common goal: to see their friends succeed and fulfill their potential. As they climbed the ranks of the welterweight division, they fueled each other's ambitions, providing unwavering support and encouragement. However, as with many relationships in the volatile world of combat sports, tensions began to arise. The simmering cauldron of competition and individual aspirations would eventually strain their friendship. See, the Colby who started his career as a humble newcomer to ATT, and the guy who rose into the 170-pound top 5 could not be any more different as people. In the world of combat sports, athletes often find themselves searching for ways to stand out from the crowd.
Say it like it is, you're blessed. You're blessed that I chose you. You're blessed that I chose to whoop your ass next.
To capture the attention of fans and generate excitement around their fights. For Colby Covington, this quest for recognition led him to embrace a controversial and polarizing persona that would forever alter his career trajectory.
Yo, one sec. You look like a bottle of Pepto-Bismol. And it makes sense, because you got diarrhea at the mouth, son!
As a highly skilled fighter with an impressive record, Covington found himself in a peculiar position. Despite his success inside the octagon, he struggled to gain the attention and support of the fans. His victories went unnoticed, and his talents were underappreciated. Frustrated by this lack of recognition, Covington realized he needed to make a drastic change to create a buzz around his fights. According to his own story, the UFC had told him that he was getting cut from the promotion regardless of how his next fight played out, win, lose, or draw. If you believe Colby on this one, which, let's be real, might be a bit of a stretch, but what we can say for sure is that Covington needed to do something drastic. Enter the birth of a new character, an aggressive and unapologetically outspoken version of Colby Covington. This alter ego was a calculated and strategic move to elicit a reaction from fans, both positive and negative. Covington understood that in the fight game, being ignored was far worse than being disliked. He embraced controversy, donning the role of a brash and confrontational figure who didn't shy away from making provocative statements or engaging in verbal warfare with his opponents. With this newfound persona, Covington quickly became a lightning rod for attention. He targeted other fighters, even resorting to insults and personal attacks to stoke the flames of controversy. And boy, did this approach work an absolute treat. He became a master of promotion, generating headlines and drawing the focus of the MMA community. Love him or hate him, fans couldn't help but pay attention to the audacious and outspoken Covington. The transformation was a double-edged sword. While some fans appreciated Covington's ability to generate excitement and bring a heightened level of entertainment to the sport, others were turned off by his brash demeanor and offensive comments. In a parallel vein, Jorge Masvidal experienced a similar rise to fame in 2019 through a string of impressive victories over Taryn Dill, Ben Askren, and Nate Diaz. Masvidal cemented his status as a major crossover star. Known for his explosive striking and fearless fighting style, Masvidal captured the imagination of fans and transcended the confines of the MMA world. It was like he had all of the experience from his earlier run, but with a newfound edge, a viciousness that resulted in some of the wildest KO moments of all time. Much like Covington, Masvidal's ascent to stardom was not solely based on his in-cage performances. He too adopted a charismatic and outspoken persona that resonated with fans. Masvidal embraced the role of a streetwise warrior who wasn't afraid to speak his mind and back it up with his fists.
Then start fucking calling people out, man. 16 years in the fucking game, I'm still breaking world records on people's faces.
The authenticity of his character, combined with his thrilling performances, made him a beloved figure among fight fans. While Covington and Masvidal took different paths to fame and recognition, they shared a common understanding of the importance of creating a compelling narrative to capture the imagination of fans. Both fighters recognized the power of controversy, employing provocative personas to spark interest and generate excitement around their fights. Whether it was dishing out a three-piece and a soda, or calling the nation of Brazil a dump and its inhabitants filthy animals,
Brazil, you're a dog! All you filthy animals suck!
these two were walking a similar path. Unfortunately, their relationship was about to sour. It started with a dispute over unpaid wages that saw Colby accused of ripping off one of his old coaches, a man close to Jorge. Next thing we knew, there were some real shots being thrown in the media. Jorge would accuse Colby of being a snake, a treacherous figure who should not be trusted, while Colby fired back in his own particular way, rebranding Masvidal as Street Judas. Naturally, the fans were skeptical about this beef actually being real, but that skepticism would totally disappear before too long. The UFC, needing to single out a top contender in the division and always eager to capitalize on heated rivalries, booked Masvidal and Covington to face off in a high-stakes welterweight showdown. When the night of the fight arrived, the atmosphere was electric with anticipation. Both fighters understood the significance of the moment, knowing that the outcome would have far-reaching consequences for their careers. In the end, it was Covington who emerged victorious, securing a comfortable win over Masvidal. Though Masvidal managed to land some damaging blows, even dropping chaos in the fourth round, it was Covington's relentless pressure and superior wrestling that ultimately sealed the victory. The outcome was a bitter pill for Masvidal to swallow. He had 5 full rounds to take out all of his anger on Colby, and he couldn't make it count. From there, the rivalry between Masvidal and Covington extended far beyond the confines of the octagon. In the days that followed their fight, an incident occurred that forever tainted their relationship. Covington, while enjoying a night out at a Miami restaurant, found himself ambushed and attacked by Masvidal in a classic sucker punch and run maneuver. The assault left Covington with his teeth damaged and his expensive Rolex watch shattered. The fallout from their rivalry was swift and severe. Once allies, Masvidal and Covington became bitter enemies, engaging in a war of words both inside and outside the cage. The respect they had once held for each other was replaced with vitriol and animosity. Colby immediately jumped into legal action against Jorge, something that threatened to put both of their careers on hold indefinitely. But here's where it gets interesting. Despite the UFC being dragged into this ordeal due to their ties to both men, Covington appeared to drop the case before things got too serious. It was as if he just woke up one morning and decided enough was enough. Sounds suspicious, right? Well, if we could put on our tinfoil hats for a moment, what is the main thing Dana White always repeats after every UFC event during the press conference? Well, he always makes it clear to the media not to bother asking him about which fights will be made next because he, and I quote, doesn't make fights on fight night. Well, after Leon Edwards managed to get a trilogy fight victory over Kamaru Usman, the UFC president was very, very quick to make it clear that Colby Covington was getting the next title shot. He did this despite Colby's lack of activity in recent years, and how his only credible win in recent times was against an aging Masvidal. Surely someone like Gilbert Burns or Bilal Muhammad at the time was a more fitting contender. Well, Dana, who never makes fights on fight night, was fully on board the Colby train. So why the urgency? Well, we'll likely never know. But what if Colby was urged to drop his legal action against Jorge, something that would draw some very heavy attention from the media on the UFC? What if he was given a brown envelope with a welterweight title shot inside, in exchange for making this whole mess go away? It's an interesting thought, you gotta admit. But either way, even with Jorge now retired, don't expect to see this conflict reach any point of resolution anytime soon. Jorge isn't the kind of guy to let things slide, and Colby? Well, Colby is so deeply in character that he could never show that type of weakness. At least not during his active career. The Masvidal and Covington story is indeed a sad one, but in a world as volatile as the fight game, this saga just goes to show how easily things can take a turn for the worst. And man, did these two really sink beyond the point of no return. Did you enjoy this video? If you did, kindly like and subscribe to our channel so we can bring you more intriguing UFC videos like this. Until next time, do take care and do not forget to stay tuned for more great content.